Mr. Mohammed Fahmi bin Aliman, next question, please.
Mr. Speaker, Swedish co-op supermarkets were forced to close earlier this month due to what is known as a supply chain attack. The co-op used the Kaseya Virtual System Administrator, VSA, which is a software management platform designed to help organizations manage their IT services remotely. Similar attacks have occurred in recent months, such as the SolarWinds breach reported in December 2020 and the attack on the Microsoft Exchange server reported in January 2021. How are these supply chain attacks orchestrated? Essentially, they take advantage of unsuspecting companies' introduction of new software into their systems that turn out to contain malicious elements or ransomware. Usually, neither the companies nor their vendors that supplied the software were even aware that the software had been compromised. The same software that were afflicting tens of thousands of organizations and businesses can also find their way into IT systems in Singapore. To date, we have not observed any adverse effects on our critical information infrastructure, or CII, and government systems. The Singapore Computer Emergency Response Team, SingCERT, has also not received reports of any Singaporean businesses falling victim to these attacks. Nevertheless, the government continues to adopt a cautious stance, and the Cybersecurity Agency monitors global developments very closely. Whenever potential threats arise, CSA will immediately direct our CII sectors to check for any potential compromise in their networks. SingCERT issues alerts and advisories to the public on actionable steps to take should they be affected. Given the global and transnational nature of such cyber attacks, CSA also works closely with regional CERTs and its international counterparts to track developments and share information. The attack through the Kaseya VSA is yet another example of how cyber attacks have spilled over into the physical realm with real-world consequences. Attackers are clearly learning and evolving their attacks to maximize their gains from a single attack. We must expect that cyber attacks will become increasingly commonplace and sophisticated. They can strike any of us or our organizations, and we must assume that our systems will be breached at some point. As was mentioned in the response to a query on the SolarWinds attack in Parliament earlier this year, CSA is strengthening its engagements with CII sectors, enterprises, and organizations to shift towards a zero-trust cybersecurity posture. This comprises two key principles. First, do not trust any activity on your networks without first verifying it. And second, ensure constant monitoring and vigilance for suspicious activities. Organizations should also implement simple steps, not only to prevent breaches, but to detect incidents early and recover quickly from them. These include keeping systems and software updated, backing up data regularly, and keeping the backup offline, and practicing incident response and business continuity plans to ensure that employees are well prepared when breaches happen. The government is taking steps to reinforce this mindset and raise the national cybersecurity posture against this new normal. CSA will launch the CII supply chain program later this year in partnership with the owners of such infrastructure and their vendors to ensure that stakeholders adhere to international best practices and standards for supply chain risk management. At the same time, CSA is developing the SG CyberSafe program to provide businesses with actionable cybersecurity toolkits and resources to bolster their cyber defenses. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I would like to stress that everyone must play their part. Businesses and organizations are ultimately responsible for their own cybersecurity and must take action to strengthen their posture. Conduct an assessment of the risks. Consider in advance how you will mitigate them and ensure that you have business continuity plans after an attack. It is in our own interest to stay vigilant against cyber threats, even as we leverage the opportunities of an increasingly digital world. Thank you.
Mr. Leon Pereira.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Thank the Minister for a reply. Just one supplementary question specifically on ransomware. That is an increasing threat around the world. And while prevention is better than a cure, many companies do end up paying these ransoms in cryptocurrency. In the Colonial Pipeline case, I think the US government actually worked with the company that was victimized to help them to recover the cryptocurrency that was paid using law enforcement methods. And I'm just wondering whether this is something that the government can assist companies with, companies who have had to pay ransomware. And I'm sure that such support and assistance is something that many companies would be also prepared to pay for, to bear a share of that cost in order to recover the cryptocurrency that is paid. Thank you.
So, Deputy Speaker, I thank the member for his question. I think in the first place, prevention is better than cure. So continued vigilance, I think, is the first line of defense. Second, the government does not recommend the payment of ransoms to cyber criminals, as there is no guarantee that the business will be able to restore their business operations or get their data back. I think this is a very important point to keep in mind. These are criminals. They are there for financial gain, and they are not necessarily going to acknowledge the payment of ransoms in order to help you to restore your systems. The payment of ransom also encourages these threat actors to continue their criminal activities and target more victims. Additionally, I think we also see that the threat actors will take notice that an organization is willing to pay up, and therefore consider that organization to be a soft target, and therefore strike again in future. So the businesses have to consider what their message is to the cyber criminals. Is your message to them that, well, we have been compromised, we will cough up the ransom as you require? Or is your message that we have taken preventive measures, and yes, we were affected, but we were able to recover, and we will strengthen our defenses? I think that is a very important consideration for businesses to take. We would also suggest that they refer to the advisory that is published on SingCert's website for further guidance on responding to ransomware attacks. Thank you.